Cool. Let's just start. Let's start. Let's start. Let's start. Let's start. Let's start. Okie dokie. Now, what are we going to talk about? Stream. Yep. So we started stand-up fight, right? Yesterday we discussed. Yesterday we discussed some basic use cases, which are listed here. And today's goal is to build out that backend and deploy it somewhere so that we can get to work quickly and get it to our users. Now, let's just head to our development environment. Uh, we have uh, we have yep, we have JavaScript code base in Mongo SH, and Standup Fight DB is configured, and the Mongo uh, Mongo server is running uh, manually. It was started manually because there were some issues. Now we had already bootstrapped our native Node.js. Native Node.js. Where is it? Here, where is it? Middleware demo, test scaffolding, stand-up fight B. So as far as I remember, we had bootstrapped this, bootstrapped the router, database, and the server. Okay, so we're gonna keep it super lightweight, zero redundancy in packages, and we will try to translate it in Golang in the same way. Next up, we will build something with fast API and maybe Go Fiber, right? And Go Fiber. So what does uh, where were we? So we'll just start server. Let's just jump to cd stand up fight B, get status, and we just do an npm. Just let me just close everything. Okay, let's just copy this in a scratchpad, which we can add to get ignore. So there's a global get ignore. Global get ignore. Where is it? Code quiver get ignore. Code quiver get ignore. There's no get ignore here. Okay, so I will just add a new file. Get ignore. Ignore a file. Get ignore is already there. Where is it? Okay, there it is. All right. Now we can add anywhere you find scratchpad, scratchpad.md. Just don't add it to get index. And all of this we move to standard B scratchpad. That's a development practice that I follow. It helps keep uh, text code snippets handy. Standup fight B. not source. This is my scratchpad. Scratchpad.md, right? Now we have all of this. Cool. So first step is to get our database schema off the ground. So we have here we are not using any injected uh injected URI. So first let's just configure that. You know, let's just configure it in using config files. And if this is going to be, yep, config file makes sense. So let's just create a new environment file. .env .local and local, yes, there it is. And it think it knows what we're trying to do. And good. And we can just import a configuration file, or we can even, you know, we should just keep it totally uh, lightweight. Let's just keep a config JSON env dot JSON, import that JSON, and when we are starting the server, at that time initialize it, right? Connect DB. So, all right, yep. Because before connecting DB, initialize environment. So we'll just do what? All right, an sync function init environment. And how will we manage the environment? We will import the environment related config. Basically, we will import from JSON file. So let's just rename this to n.local.json. We can just simply store it here and call it Mongo URI, and our Mongo URI is here. And that's one more less dependency, right? Now, when we are importing from env dot, we need to know what node env this is, right? So there is, so basically like, we need to know what environment this is. Is this our local environment? Is this like, let's say, dev environment, or for example, let's say prod environment, right? That's why I have this n.local.json. Now, to figure that out, we will use one environment that we will inject while we are starting our application, right? So we can do that using uh, like, for example, Node.env or app.env or env, base env, basically our env, which is, let's say, local npm dev, right? Now, once I do this, okay, so I should do this in native API, Standup Fight B. Okay, so uh, let me just do this in Standup Fight B in the JavaScript terminal, where I can pause the debugger and show you this. So we have server and init and init will use the base env. So basically what it will do is it will dynamically import from the correct file, and the env will be read from process.env.node.env. If it is not present, then it will by default assume it to be local. And if it is a node local, console native node API running on localhost. Okay, port. So whatever port and port and everything. So basically, uh, we need to inject it into process.env, right? So basically process.env.port. Uh, even if uh, so instead of console logging, so let's just uh, forget about this. We just need a dynamic import. Console.log using environment, right? Simple. And then we do a dynamic import. We wait for our config file. Config file, we just await import config, import from config. Nope, import from env, right? And let's just console.log config file. Okay, so we can just config file. Now init.env should put all this value in the process.env variable, but before we do that, we need to just see if it's working as expected. So basically, I want to know, the question here is, oh, this import is actually the export, right? And in the export, default export, I have, I have not defined any default export. So what is a default export for a JSON file, right? Uh, okay, so we will give it a node env of local. Let's start debugger. Stops. Node env is local. Nice. And wait. Okay. So cannot find module env local JSON. Okay, yes. That is one directory up. Restarting because we have respawn. Restarting, but doesn't restart. All right, so I need to fix that. But first let's see. Uh, Development environment local. Still cannot find. Okay, why can't it find? .env.local. All right. Okay, yes, because I'm missing this dot. Starting. This restart doesn't work. Hot reloading. All right. So what is this config file? Okay, so there's always default. There is Mongo URI. What is that? I'm not sure. So the default value is the object, right? Nice. So the config file. Now what we can do is we can just update the process.env as whatever is in process.env and the rest of the things, right? So we just initialize our environment, and that is it. Very simple. You give the path here, and it just takes care of import and dynamically initializes your environment. So restart has some issue, but yep. Now our connect DB, there we should have a value, right? So should have a value when we are coming here before connecting DB. I should have a MongoDB, and we can debug that in the console. Process.end.mongo. Okay, not there. It is not there. Okay, Mongo URI is not there. Why is it not there? This is a global that we have modified. Cool. So things don't break because we have the default values, but hmm, process.env and mnn config.defaults. Okay, this is default. All right, so this is default and default. All right, a lot of avoiding object.assign. I don't want to do that. Uh, cool. Now, now if we check, I can just log the uh, uh, process env. I should just give it uh, an object output, but nope. It logs it properly, and our Mongo URI is there. Great. So next thing is we now we are up and running, and we have environment files, and uh, yep. So now what we need to do is in the next so that's it, and next up we will continue with the schema design.